Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special session looking at active spaces. There's no doubt the pandemic has increased the utilization of people's fitness and wellness outdoors. People are moving outdoors, exercising, participating in sports and activities of all kinds. Where are they going? What facilities are needed? What do governments and businesses need to do to capitalize on this fantastic growing marketplace? We've brought together an incredible panel to look at this topic. I'm about to hand over to our friends at Asia Sports Tech. Jean-Baptiste Roy and Laurent Oris are the founding partners of AST. They are long-term friends and partners of Fit Summit and do incredible work advising people in investment in Asia Pacific with fitness, wellness, and sports. They're joined by Javier González, a partner at 100 Architects, and also Peter Just, founder of Hubbster, two incredible companies working directly with governments and other companies to utilize the use of now active spaces. A great panel, and now over to you, JB and Laurent.
Hi, Ross. Thanks for that, and thanks for inviting us today, and glad we are all here today for this exciting panel. Ross briefly introduced the different speakers, but I'll let everyone introduce itself in more detail today. Exciting panel on active spaces, creating and developing new multi-purpose outdoor facilities for all demographics. I think this topic that excites everyone today at the Fit Summit. We have seen the evolution of change of practices, and we know that COVID has impacted even more changes. So here we'll bring several experts in the space. Briefly myself, Jean-Baptiste Roy, co-founder of Asia Sports Tech, I'll be your moderator today. Javier González, partner at 100 Architects, live from Shanghai, will give us more detail very shortly. Peter Just, founder of Hubbster, live from Copenhagen with us today. So thank you guys for being there. And Laurent Oris, co-founder of Asia Sports Tech. So without further ado, so Javier, give us a bit more introduction, please, about yourself and about 100 Architects.
So 100 Architects is a small architecture studio based in Shanghai, and it was born with the mission of improving our cities and the experience of citizens in the public realm. By providing high-quality, innovative, and hyper-stimulating public spaces intended to be inclusive and accessible to everyone. So we really believe we're a company who believe that working in the public realm is really a privilege, because this is actually where our design has the biggest impact on the largest quantity of people. We like to say that we're architects who don't do buildings, or at least not in the conventional way that we understand buildings. This is what you see on the screen, our kind of buildings. We, through our design approach, our work aims to transform the cityscape that we know today into the hyper-stimulating one that we envision for tomorrow. We consider 100 Architects as an experimental lab for creative urban solutions that are driven by this passion of shaping the cities of tomorrow. So that's a little bit of about 100 Architects.
Thanks a lot, Javier, for that very visual introduction. Put us right into the topics of active design and active spaces. So your turn, Peter. Would you give us an introduction about yourself and about Hubbster, please? Would be fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, and hello from Copenhagen. I'll just share some slides with you. So Hubbster is, I'm the founder of Hubbster. We are a New York-based company, but due to COVID-19, we are kind of like stuck in Copenhagen. It's not the worst place to be though, but we are a social sports club in a box, as we call it. And our starting point, we are a tech startup, and we are backed by American investors. So our starting point was this, that we are more connected than ever, but at the same time also highly disconnected socially. And the thing is, when smartphones arrived and social media, we kind of like got more and more socially disconnected, and that's actually what we would like to change. So when we look at public space, we see a lot of great intentions, a lot of great possible opportunities. But if you don't have the gear to use a certain amenity, then it's completely useless. Then it's actually a wrong decision and it's waste of space. So our solution is actually in three parts. We're bringing the second half to create like a full active space of opportunity. And it's physical boxes we place right next to the empty ping pong table or right next to the basketball court with basketballs. 31 different games, and you can access them with an app and get a full overview of what the opportunities is right where you are. And you can filter if your favorite is basketball, then you only see basketballs. And the cool thing is that we use technology to connect each other physically. So if your two friends would like to challenge two people in the same space, then you can actually use the system to connect people. So that's I'll just stop here. That's Hubbster. Shortly, we are in Paris and Copenhagen, and next year we are expanding to several places around the world.
Thanks a lot for that. Now I'll let Lauren Oris, co-founder of Asia Sports Tech, to do a brief intro about Asia Sports Tech.
Thanks very much, JB. And I'm going to share some slides as well. But before I start, I want to say it's great to be here with Javier and Peter. I think it's going to be a great session because of the real transformation that you're doing and what we're seeing in terms of what we do in our business. So ultimately, Asia Sports Tech, really what we do is our mission, and what drives us day in and day out is really transforming Asia's sports and well-being ecosystems. We both, JB and I, have been here over 15 years each, and we think that there's huge opportunities in Asia. We work in four key areas: sports, esports, sports and health tech, and fitness and well-being. And ultimately, what's been so interesting is with the company that we founded over 4 years ago is really how all of these intersect. And then what we do is we work with clients and we provide market entry and growth strategies coming into Asia and as well going out of Asia. As well, we've got innovation and transformation strategies, and often many of those have been digital. And then ultimately, we provide financial advisory services to companies, and that could be across all four of those key pillars as well. And then if you look at the type of clients we have, so we've got sports and esports clients, and it's everything from early esports clubs to very large football clubs, as you can see here, some of the most famous, and clubs both in Asia and around the world. In terms of tech companies, it's everything from sports tech, health tech, even edutech, as well as entertainment. And so some of the companies we work with there are cutting edge and leading in their different areas. And it's everything from athlete management systems all the way to famous ones like Whoop, as you know, that we work with, and as well highly interactive digital solutions. But it's quite a broad range. And then under work in real estate and tourism, and that's with developers as well as large entities that have lots of property that are looking to redevelop those properties and looking for really what's the city of tomorrow look like. And then ultimately we work with a variety of key investors that are looking to look for the next key developments and the next ways to help propel and grow these different sports ecosystems. And then ultimately, really our competitive edge is we've got an extensive global network. This is from our advisor network and ourselves with over 100 years of experience. We've got knowledge across a variety of key verticals. And what we do is we often will provide very unique solutions to our clients that they may not have seen. And that's helped us as we grow. And then, of course, just the way that we combine it. And really, ultimately, what we want to do is for all of our companies is how do we create sustainable competitive advantage for them by both seeing what are the new trends and ultimately anticipating those trends and being able to create excellent opportunities for their companies and their customers.
Thanks, Lauren, for this brief introduction. So now took a bit of, a time for all the audience to understand better who are the panelists and where the direction we're going to bring on, because we believe this is a very, very important topic for forward-looking and thought leadership topic for the coming decade of how the city of tomorrow will look like and how the city of tomorrow in Asia will look like. And as we're all living there and are here to make those city and those citizens healthier and more active, we all need to work together. So let me start as a first question. Maybe I'll ask you, Lauren, first. So why are nowadays, most active and recreational spaces, current one, failing to attract community-wide engagement? What are the data are telling us, and what also, how COVID impacted the role of those facilities?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, JB. Well, I think one of the biggest challenges that has taken place, and it's taken place both in the past and that is transforming in Asia, is if you think about the Asian environment, it was very much built quickly. There's limited spaces. People are just looking for, it's maximizing profit opportunities in terms of the space itself. There hasn't been necessarily as much creativity around the spaces. Even if you think about some of the major cities, most of them were not leveraging their waterfronts as much as they could, as an example. In other cases, you're seeing different parts of the cities really reinvent themselves and transform. So probably some of the last thoughts were, what do we put into a playground? And all you need to do is to go around a number of the cities to really recognize that a lot of them look fairly similar. As an example, I was just out seeing a playground that was recently put in, and there was some giant concrete 4 to 6 foot piping, concrete pipes that are things that I used to play on back in the 70s. And so the fact that those are still being brought out shows how much opportunity is and how much there can be to grow. Where we do see interesting developments are where there are new developments going in. So there's a lot happening in China. And what we're seeing is developers are recognizing that they need to do more, both to attract customers and really attract audiences to their developments, both as well from a residential and commercial side. But I think probably the most telling stat of all, and I think the viewers today will find important, but as well telling, is that a January 2021 study with McKinsey said, what is going to change in your physical participation now? In post-COVID that from before. So in other words, what were you doing before? What are you going to do more of now in after as COVID ends? And 84% of those people said individual outdoor activity. So think of that number, 84% individual outdoor activity. And frankly, we've seen this during the past year. So since that study's been done, we've seen that in Hong Kong. You probably have 3 to 4 times the amount of people outdoors, out on trails. It's all doing outdoor activities, working out outdoors, all those things. And really, probably the most transformational point is that people it's almost like they've rediscovered the outdoors and they want to spend more time out there. So think of how that's going to impact governments and their planning, cities and their planning, developers and what they're doing. And that's why I'm very happy we've got our 2 guests on today, because they're providing solutions in this space.
Thanks, Lauren. So, Peter, do you want to take that on, give a few words on that? And then Javier, as we're so glad that both of you have been working on this and try to help all of us for a long time. And this is your mission. So the combination of all of us can make it happen.
Yeah, sure. If I can start. For us, active spaces is actually about people. It's really about people. So the hierarchy is people and then spaces. So our starting point is when we look at people, what is the most important thing in life? And for most people, I guess when you are reaching your fall, then it is if you have like a happy life. So what constitutes a happy life? So Harvard University spent nearly 80 years following around 800 persons to figure out what is the most important thing in life to end up having a happy life and fulfilled life. And number one on the list is what they call social integration. So it's really about these everyday conversations with local peers. So for us, an active space is really a space where we can kind of like bring in reasons to interact, reasons to have conversations, more conversations like these everyday conversations. And for us, the perfect social enabler as part of this active space is actually play and sports. We call it social sports because it's really about social interaction more than competing. I guess most people are competing anyways, but so that's for us. That's the most important thing, to create an active, vibrant space that is to center around people and look at who is using that specific space. And that can be kids, but it can also be retired people, or it can be sports addicts or students and local employees. So really figure out what would be the perfect object to bring into a certain space to actually activate it.
Thanks, Peter. Javier?
In a way, nowadays we see public spaces or sport facilities that are either for some social groups, but are not encouraging some other social groups. At the same time, they're not so specific, because if they would be very, very specific to, I don't know, skateboarders, for example, or then you would see a population of skateboarders proliferating in that area, for instance, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks a lot, Javier, for that very interesting, different point of view, very interesting. So maybe to step back a little bit for our audience, I'd love to hear, from you, Javier, and then you, Peter, of what is for you an active space? Because different experiences, you work in China for a decade, and then you see things evolving, and of course you work across the globe now more and more nowadays too. But I'd love to hear, what is your definition? And then Peter, you could tell us yours.
Yeah, well, I was just talking about, like, for us, an active space are those spaces that have the power to call the attention of people, to gather them, to actually encourage them to leave their homes, gather in a physical space rather than in a digital space. Nowadays, in this world that we're living, where digital and technology progress is progressing in such a speed, as Peter was mentioning before as well, we are losing a little bit of this real physical social interaction. So for us, an active space would be that space or platform in which real social interactions take place, where people can actually meet, gather, undertake physical activities, but not necessarily high performance sports. It can be related to meeting, to leisure, to having fun, to talking, walking. Those are the kind of activations that we're trying to achieve, for example, through the urban installations and interventions that we do in our company.
Thanks. You, Peter?
Yeah, I totally agree with Javier, and actually looking at the awesomeness of what they're producing, I'm just thinking we're kind of like two halves of the full solution. Mm-hmm. Because actually, for us, it's really about bringing in the object. It's called social object, when an object can connect people. So social objects can be anything. It can be a common interest, or it can be a physical object. So for us, it's really about providing social objects in these awesome solutions Javier is designing to actually make it really easy and convenient for people to interact. If I can show one slide, then. So this is an example of an activated space. This is a project we're working on for Copenhagen. we've been in COVID-19 lockdown, but in 2022 we'll be able to activate this. We call it the social infrastructure for cities. So we're actually adding an activation layer on top of some really awesome spots in the center of Copenhagen. Actually, this part of Copenhagen was awarded the most awesome neighborhood in the world according to Time Out 2 weeks ago. So maybe we cannot make it even more awesome, but we're trying. So this, what you can see, the colored line, it's 38 different locations in a borough, 1.3 square kilometers, with 31,000 people living there and 100,000 people visiting that area every day. So you have 100 different hubs, 18 different sports, and when we say sports, it's also board games. So actually, when we are talking with the cities, then normally they think sports facilities, but for us, any public space can be turned into a sports facility, any public space. So actually, so the smallest public space that can be converted into a sports facility is an old game called pole tennis, where you have a pole with a tennis ball on a string, and then you have some rackets, and then you stand on each side, and then compete in getting to top or bottom of the spiral. And that's only 4 square meters. Then you have like a sports facility in the center, and when you're not using it, you can use it for anything else. So what we are doing is actually, so we have all this infrastructure, and on top of that, we provide an activation layer and suggest different ways. I mean, you can call it like a tour through the city, where you can experience the city. So if it's a tourist, then we pick like Instagram moments, and doing that, you're also playing different games. So for tourists, it could be basketball, ping pong, pole tennis, cup, bocce, and then end up playing Scrabble before you have a dinner at an awesome spot in center of Copenhagen. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. That's kind of like putting a layer on top of awesome public space to activate it.
Very interesting, Peter, and thanks for sharing a different definition of what active space means, and to our audience, for them to open everyone's mind about what the city of Tromsø gonna look like. So as a third question, I'd like to ask you, Javier, as a expert architect and at the core of reactivating our public space. I'd love to give us some my question is like, how must we today like reconceptualize, redesign, rebuild our existing spaces and the experience for optimal engagement? And I'd love if you could share some examples of things you have done, to give our audience, show the awesomeness of some of the project and how this has impacted the cities.
As architects in our office, usually we question how can we incorporate physical activity more creative in our daily lives. And this is an exercise that we do in order to, because as we were explaining before, our way of activating public spaces or sport facilities in the public space is by incorporating those daily doses of physical activity that can be undertaken easily without the need of going to a high performance sport facility, and for all ages. And most importantly would be like, how can we do that in a very fun and stimulating way, breaking through those spatial norms of the typical sports facilities. As you can see in the screen, those are some examples of projects that we have done in China and abroad, in which we try to activate those spaces through the introduction of the spaces that are multifunctional to be able to undertake physical activity, but at the same time, you have the opportunity to gather and meet with your friends and so on. at the end of the day, we understand, and I think this relates very much to what Peter was mentioning before. We believe that sports and healthy lifestyles shouldn't be necessarily only for high-performance athletes. And I like how Peter speaks about facilitating sports hubs when those hubs include chess or this kind of board games, because those are also activities that can activate the public space, that can keep citizens, tourists, and users in general active mentally, socially, so not necessarily active in a sporty way. Therefore, public sport facilities must be thought and designed as other public spaces within the city, and eventually that barrier, or that boundary between what is a sport facility and what is a public space is going to be blurred in the future. We will see how people is going to start working out in parks. So those new urban spaces that we are envisioning should be welcoming and accessible to a wider spectrum of ages and fitness levels, promoting not only traditional ways of exercising, but also embracing these new forms of physical activity that can refer to playing, can refer to socializing, and so on. We believe that improving quality and equipment of urban public spaces is a key role nowadays to promote citizens to undertake those physical activities. We have also realized that physically active citizens are increasing in those urban spaces where these new forms of physical activities are actually detaching from typical high-performance sports. So we have seen how many women, for example, feel discouraged to go to a high-performance sports because there's going to be a lot of people in a very, very good shape, working out hard, or very skilled athletes, and they're discouraged to join. But in those urban spaces where these physical activities are more informal and relaxed, then the people with different fitness levels are more encouraged to join and undertake those activities as well. So exactly this is what I mentioned in this slide. These non-competitive informal facilities can encourage a wider range of citizens of all ages and fitness levels to undertake different physical activities in a fun way without that pressure or stress of competition, right? So any physical recreation, any form of physical activity that is undertaken in leisure time for pleasure and entertainment is the kind of activation that we are after, that we are looking forward to provide to cities.
No, thanks a lot, Javier, for sharing that, and also what the two, you two are also proposing is also a very, 24/7 healthy lifestyle solution that, of course, completes with our indoor gym, our fitness classes, our time in the box, etc. Which is, and also what we believe. I believe that you're also bringing into a city is you are putting health as a priority and in everyone's routine from an earlier age. So what the more difficulty is, as I say, is bringing people from 0 to 1, so from the couch to moving a little bit. And you two are really supporting that in a city, which is, if we think about building a funnel, is definitely a funnel for later on PT, every type of more performance classes, or people more open to try a lot of new sports and fitness and buy connected equipment, etc. So you are really, really building that funnel in a positive way. in a non-invasive way on a daily basis, and which I believe is very, very positive for a city and for the entire fitness ecosystem and fitness business. So thanks a lot for sharing those, Javier. So now on to you, Lauren. So Lauren, I have a question. Maybe going back on more innovation and technologies. Could you give us some example, or can you tell us like what can we now deploy and ensure active space have a wide appeal while being multi-purpose for sports, fitness, community? What innovation technology could be today brought to those spaces to enhance the experience and enhance different area of data? Or I'm not sure what you have in mind, but we'd love to hear that from experts in technology.
Yeah. Well, certainly, I think. Thank you, JB. I think that what we've just seen and we've had described from Peter and Javier is fascinating. And whether it's revitalizing older parts of a city, whether it's connecting them together, I think there's great opportunities there to link it. And then as well, if it's building new locations, I mean, look at some of the ones that Javier just showed us. I mean, those are incredible. And you can see the whole range of people that are participating there. So even whether it's actually people who are used to performance, whether it's just games, or whether it's bringing the family together and be active, there's lots and lots of opportunities. And ones that I think, as you mentioned, where people who are operating gyms and different facilities really need to consider what is their outdoorization strategy. How are they going to link with their customers that want to be outside? Because that's clearly what we've seen as the major trend. The technology is going to help bring this together, and a lot of it already exists. Some of it's been mentioned. I think if you look at what could be added to these different locations, what technologies could be added, so you could be talking about everything from NFC or near field communication, where you literally walk into a facility and they recognize, or a location, they recognize you, they know it's you, they let your friends know that you're in that facility. Things of that nature, I think, could be quite large. If you're seeing a lot of the changes in technology around screens and things of that nature, those could add some more technology. So people may not even have to show up with a phone, but it recognizes them from their watch or recognize them from a wearable. So you could literally have ways that the entire city becomes your playground because it's connected through these different technologies. And so those are, that is accelerating. But I think the most important thing is whether it's the technology or not, what it really is what is it delivering? And ultimately, if you think about it, so the new technologies will be able to deliver personalization. So it sees you, it recognizes you. That's pretty important, of course. It can track and monitor you from a performance perspective. So that could be, imagine linking with some of the various wearables and being able to do that. Think about other ways where there's connected equipment. Peter has it, but as well connected equipment that you could bring and tie into the overall ecosystem. But ultimately, what I think is there's really 4 things that it's going to provide. Number 1 is personalization. 2, the ability to track performance and activity. Data would be number 3. And so the ability also for the people who have put these facilities in place to understand what's being done. And is there a need to change a component with that? Is there a need to, in Peter's case, to add a new game? Is it, in the case of Javier, is it an added component that he could put in as a module? All those different things. But ultimately, I think it comes back to what both these gentlemen are providing is community and the ability to connect and grow your own community, but as well being linked in even to the larger community. And for example, what government doesn't want to be seen as what they're providing? What developer or even mall operator, they want to be seen that they're connecting with their community and being able to reach them. And all of that makes for even more opportunities as we connect this. And so from a technological perspective, a number of those key ones exist, but I think ultimately it's what do they really provide? What are the opportunities that they give you? And really it's those 4, the personalization, performance, data, and community.
Thanks on that, Lauren. And as I said, it's probably, as to summarize all these 4 points together, is to try to bring an experience that is more immersive and yes, where everyone enjoyed more, and how the outdoor and the indoor are linked together, which gives, I believe, a lot of opportunity for anyone think of business opportunity of create new experiences, because we talk about cities, but as we know, there is definitely a lot of private opportunities before that can be taken on by people who need to build those, the future of outdoor spaces for the current fans. So, if Peter or Javier, do you want to add anything on this question?
Yeah, I would like to add. I think the thing is our wet dream, you could say, for what we're doing is actually to be able to predict social opportunities because we generate a ton of data about usage, who's playing with whom, when are they playing, when it's raining, when the sun's shining, different parts in a city, who's using it. So actually, for us, instead of kind of like that we are the product that we know from a lot of social platforms, we should use the data to kind of like enhance our social opportunities for ourselves. So no selling of data, but also give city planners an opportunity to be able in real time to map how the public space is used. So they can use it actively in kind of like understanding how to develop the city. So you have a city strategy, but does it actually work? And today, you have to hire people to kind of like watch in the public space who's using it and then make notes. Actually, what we're providing is a 24/7 opportunity to know who's using the space. And by having that type of very, very detailed insight, without stalking people, because that's not a good thing in our perspective, you can actually adjust what you're doing and add new games, move things around, different games, move to other areas, and so on.
Very, very interesting. Thanks a lot, Peter, for that. And then maybe recommend us where we could be happier instead of staying at home on a couch, where we should go play badminton because the friends that beat us the other week is back at the court.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's true.
Oh, there is a massive chess tournament happening. There is already 20 people down there at the park, and we need to go down because instead of staying here, why don't you compete with them? No, that's great. So thanks a lot for that. On the new questions, and Lauren mentioned that words earlier, and I'd like to come back to it in terms of what are the trends of what we call the outdoorization of sports. It's a term that I think now more and more people have heard and have actually become more common through COVID. So we have seen it across every sports, every activity, everything from running to any other activities. And as all of you here listening on the panel today, I've seen it with the closure of gyms all around the world. People were forced to go to do activities outside. So some of these trends continued, and people want to continue being outdoor, as Lauren mentioned earlier with these statistics. So it's about also understanding what, from an architecture's perspective and the future design, what are the trends in outdoorization of sports, and what the city of tomorrow will look like in terms of outdoor activity. So maybe Javier, you could give us a bit of share some of your knowledge and experience on that.
People nowadays has realized what is the value of spending time outdoor. This is something not comparable to many other things. Allow me to put up some slides. We believe that the city of tomorrow necessarily will foster empathy, well-being, health, and joy in urban public spaces. And health is something that is very into discussion nowadays because of the current pandemic, but empathy, well-being, and joy as well, we believe that should be also pillars to be taken into account. So empathy, we understand empathy by encouraging social interactions. At the end, when city planners, designers, architects, if we have the possibility of providing those platforms on which people could actually undertake that interaction among each other, spend time together, quality time together, have fun, I think this is a way of fostering empathy. Then well-being is also something that we understand as providing spaces of opportunity for that happiness to occur. No, public space at the end of the day is the space used by everyone. So by democratizing happiness, I think we're providing well-being. And health by facilitating those multifunctional spaces that we have been talking through or talking about today. No, those multifunctional spaces that can actually promote physically active lifestyles outdoor. Joy would be providing hyper-stimulating spaces, which is one of our core beliefs. That when we are able to hyper-stimulate citizens or users, moments of joy and nice memories sparkle, and this is something that as a experience on the public space is remarkable. So rather than focusing on high performance sports, I think that So rather than focusing on high performance sports, I think that it will be key to facilitate those recreational amenities, like, for example, the examples that we are seeing by Hubbster, that we think they're actually remarkable. So to deploy them in the public realm so that we can actually foster those healthy lifestyles to all the social groups, something that we have mentioned before. So beyond those spatial norms of the typical sport facilities, breaking through that and kind of trying to innovate into how people could actually perform physical activities outdoor, either by groups or personalized. We have seen recently the presentation of Metaverse. I think none of you have missed that. And we have seen how Mark Zuckerberg has pictured the future of fitness, and I think that he's not far off from where we're going to. So this is going to be something to take into account in the cities of tomorrow.
Thanks a lot on that, Javier, and definitely. You are touching on some very, as I said, forward-looking points, and now how really the physical, the outdoor, the indoor, the personal, the data, all this connect together. The positive thing is everyone wants to be healthier, as we know globally. Somehow, thanks to COVID and with all the lockdown we had, as you said, everyone understood the value of being outdoor after being locked in, which is something that I don't think is it has definitely changed everyone's mind. So we need to rethink businesses, we need to rethink cities, we need to rethink how we sell fitness content, we need to redesign equipments and tracker and apps, and everything around the fitness and activity world needs to be rethought with this new behavior. So as interest of time, I'd like to move to maybe our last question for today's panel. So we talked about a lot of different partners, so cities, the government, community, etc. So I'd like to ask all of you, and maybe start with you, Javier. So what kind of partnership and collaboration do you think must be strengthened to ensure a more fit for purpose facilities, design and develop where the public and the city can use, a private operator could use, high performance, kids, elderly, everyone, because in the end, we need to be smart about the usage and the space we have. So what do you think could help and foster the ecosystem and help everyone to get together rather than opposing each other around these topics?
All right. Well, I think that first of all, something that we have noticed throughout our practice is that many times we end up activating spaces, public spaces that look like public spaces but are not real public spaces. They're what we called POPs, like privately owned public spaces. Those public spaces that are developed by real estate or private developers to beautify the city in return for being able to develop that part of the city, for example. No? And this is something that I wish we could actually connect a little bit closer with municipalities or government authorities to actually undertake this mission in a more broader and public way. Not necessarily in the privately owned public spaces just because they have the money to be able to afford this beautification and activation of their public spaces, but hopefully we could take it as a part of the development of a city, as a strategy, as a growth strategy for cities and for citizens. No? We have been working, as I said, with many real estate developers. We have been working with some municipalities in a few cities here in China, and also some like foundations, like charity foundations that are doing projects, non-profitable projects, for example, for kids and so on. And also we have been working lately with some healthcare facilities like hospitals. In this case, a project that we're developing nowadays in a hospital in Spain in order to renovate like an outdoor terrace and turn it into a playground for kids that are under treatment for cancer. So in that project specifically, we are dealing with the foundation, that is a private foundation trying to help kids with cancer, but at the same time, the municipality of that city and the management of the hospital. So there are many parties involved, and we are seeing how these dynamics are attracting now, for example, suppliers of materials that they would like to donate for the project. Or so I think that when different parties take place and join together, then many more things and better things can be done. That's at least my experience.
Thanks, Javier. Maybe Peter, 1 minute on this, and Lauren, one, as we are getting close to the end of our panel.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Well, it's a little the same as Javier is mentioning. For us, we're also focusing on POPs, and for a property developer, it makes a lot of sense to kind of like improve the attractiveness of that space they're owning, because for the whole property portfolio, it adds a lot of value. And the same for sports clubs, just to add to the list of what Javier is mentioning. I mean, extending the use of a sports club, so it's not only on Wednesdays from 5 to 7, but you can actually access it 24/7, and even if you're not a member of a sports club. So kind of like be more efficient in how to use the public space. And I totally love the one-liner you mentioned, Javier, democratizing happiness. I'll use that going forward because that's what it's all about. So so that's my final word.
Thanks on that. Lauren, want to add 30 seconds to this?
Yes, I think the key things are, with all the different stakeholders you mentioned, is really pushing the outdoorization of sports and show them it. The second thing I would do is, you guys do incredible work. I would show them the work and design and just get in front of as many people as possible to show them. And then the third is, I would leverage the technology to use the data to really prove this usage and the transformation you're creating in the people that are using your incredible facilities.
So thanks everyone for that. So as a brief conclusion, so we have seen, amazing project and very exciting cities that we want to visit and live in and be active in it. Cities and collaboration between cities, sports federation, corporates, real estate group, charities, etc. So all the other ecosystem working together. And I believe that this hopefully will give a lot of food for thought to some of people listening to this panel today from whatever part of the fitness and wellness industry they are in. We believe that there are a lot of opportunities, of course, for traditional gym owners that needs to transition and are thinking of what are the opportunities in outdoor. They see it, but the more they see it, the more they wait, the more it's going to be harder to transition to this. But understanding what is the customer wants to consume that, so it's mandatory to adapt the offering to it. But there are definitely opportunities to do that, working closely with the cities in developing spaces that could be on a mixed use basis, working closely with the real estate developers that are developing those future ones. So we definitely believe that there are opportunities. We have started to see cities that are developing in conjunction with architects, area on the waterfront, that could be a beautiful yoga place that can be rated by coaches to be used. So there are business models can be created. We need to be creative. This pandemic has changed the way people are consuming health, wellness, fitness, are spending time there outdoor. And we are here to hopefully help you and hold your hands toward this pathway. So Javier, Peter, and Lauren, thank you very much for your insights on this panel. Ross and the entire team at the Fit Summit, thanks for inviting us for this panel today. And to the audience, thanks for listening. And don't hesitate to reach out to all of us. And looking forward to see you all in public, in physical very soon, and play chess in a city or exercise outdoor together. Thank you very much, everyone.